Alrighty, so in this course we're gonna add a new feature, or rather a slider like library, which will help us slide through our many items because we might have many images or videos in one post. So in order to accommodate for that, let's add a new package, a JavaScript package. So for that we can go to your browser. In here, search for Swiper JS. You can click on this one here, the modern mobile touch slider. So go on the docs, click on getting started. Right, for this course, I prefer we install it via npm. So you can just copy this code, go back to our code. In here, let's open a terminal, paste that in there. All right, it's installed successfully. Next, we're going to have to import the dependencies like navigation and pagination. So just copy all this down here. For this one, we can close this terminal. Let's open app.js. And then inside here, after the Alpine start, we can just paste the code we just copied, this one. And it's going to give you a little error. Just remove these dots. Okay, so after adding this code in our JavaScript, we can go back to the website, the Swiper website. In here, we can copy this HTML layout. Copy all the code inside the HTML. And then for this, we can go to our item. In here, inside the main, all right, we can just remove this video. We will add it back later. Paste the code, and then make sure you format the document. Just remove all the dots you see. All right, now if you go to our website, you see that we have this slider, and it's not really working fine because we're missing a few dependencies that we're going to use. So if you go back to the Swiper website, if you scroll again down, you see that in here they're adding the pagination and navigation. So let's add them one by one. Let's copy the pagination, go back to our JavaScript. After the modules here, let's actually use the pagination, this one. So now if we go back to our website, our actual website, in here you see that we have these dots, 3, 1, 2, 3, but now let's work on the arrows to make them work. So for that, we can go here and then copy the navigation arrows finally. Let's go back to our JavaScript. In here, we can paste it. And also, please make sure that in another environment, you have the npm run dev running. Otherwise, the JavaScript won't update. All right, so after we do that, now it should work fine because we've added functionality to the arrows, you see. Now it's swiping left and right. Okay, now just to make things more appealing, we can go ahead and add back our video component. Right, so let's go to the item. In here in the slide 1, just remove everything inside, and here let's just add X video. Right, now you can see if we go back. Okay, awesome. Now you can see we have these arrows now showing if we click play, we can slide to a different slide and it will work fine. All right, so that's awesome. Now in our case, I don't like to initialize this JavaScript in our app.js. We're going to use, in our case, we're going to use Alpine JS to initialize this swiper. So to do that, we're going to, let's go back to our item. In here, this same element where there's a swiper, let's add an X initialization. All right, inside here, we're going to, let's add new swiper. All right, and this is going to be like want to get this same element we're on right now. So we're going to use the L. The L is just another thing of saying this in JavaScript, but since we're using Alpine, we can just use the L for element, comma, and in here we can add our swiper functionality. Inside here, we can just go back to this app.js. Let's copy all this code from modules to pagination. Copy that, let's go back, paste it inside here. Or we can just remove these comments, and in here let's add one thing called loop to true. This is actually part of the swiper settings. So now after doing that, just go back to our app.javascript and comment this out. And right now, because we're using this global swiper, okay, we need to make it available to be used everywhere. So to do that, after commenting this down below, we can simply say window.swiper is equals to swiper, or we can just copy this twice, do the same for navigation, and pagination. Alright, now hopefully everything is fine. If we go back and refresh our website, you see that it's still working fine, which means our Alpine initialization actually worked in here because we're no longer using the JavaScript. So we can just go ahead and delete this. So after deleting that, for now, let's try to add more pictures or more items to this. So in here, you can go back to item, and then inside here, our swiper, we can just add something else. In here, we can add an image class. Here, width full, you can make it a block, and then object scale down. Click tab. We can go ahead and get the image from Pixabay. So here, if we go to, let's search for Pixabay here, give some really good photos we can use for our testing. We click there, and then here we can just search, let's search for balloons. So for this, we can simply click on the image first, and then while we are here, we can right click and then copy the image address. Let's go back to our code. In here, before we paste it, make sure I add a height of, let's say 500 pixels, and then paste the image. Next, here in the swiper, where the swiper, the first class, so add a height of 500 pixels. Let's add a border and the background of white. And here, for the swiper wrapper, let's add X clock. Alrighty, now that should make everything work fine. Now if we go back to our actual website, in here let's refresh. So now you see it's looking something good like that, whereby if we can play this, we can also go to the next image to show the image, next slider, like that we can add more images to this and make it look fine like that. So far it's working fine, everything's working perfect. Now one last thing is that, if you check out the raw Instagram, in here Instagram has these small arrows, and we're trying to make this project not just work like Instagram but also have a feel and look of Instagram. So let's also make sure we add this kind of arrows to our project. Alright, so to do that, we can simply go to hero icons, or I click there. In here, let's get the chevron. We can get the one for left for now. Let's go back to our swiper. Here inside our button prev, we can add a div, here dot, here background, white over 95, say a border, padding of 1, rounded full, and text gray, because I'm trying to get a same feel of like the actual Instagram, text gray 900. Or if we click tab, it's not really working fine. Okay, we can just remove this background for now, add it after. Here at the end, click tab. Alright, now let's add the background. Background white over 95. You can just paste this SVG we copied earlier. You can make the stroke to like 2.8, yeah, and then in here, if you go back and see, you see a bunch of something not looking good. Like for example here, you see we have this dot. Right, it's showing a dot because swiper by default it will initialize these big arrows. These they come by default, so us want to add custom arrows. So we can go back to our JavaScript. In here, let's disable this navigation. We just want to disable the CSS, not the JavaScript. Leave the JavaScript there, just disable the navigation, the CSS. So now if we go, you see that if we refresh, yeah, nothing is showing yet because we also have to add one more thing. So let's go back to our item. In here, we have to add our own CSS classes. So here, you can add absolute, and then top, you can make it 1.5, Z a little bit like 10, and padding of 2, because we have disabled the classes for this. We're just going to add our own now. Alright, now if we go back, awesome, you see we now have something looking good like that. A small arrow, our own custom arrow. Now let's just make it, look exactly like this one. Yeah, so let's go back. In here we can come and make this arrow 4 and 4. At least this way you see it will look much better. Okay, awesome, it's looking much better now. Alright, okay, so next we're also going to add the opposite of this one, which is the chevron right. This one, copy this one, make sure it is actually copied, and then I'm going to do the same in here. Actually, let's just copy this class first, put it inside here, the div. Inside here I'm going to say absolute right 0 in the swiper for the different one. This is like, you actually comment this out. Next, and prev, so you can see the difference. After adding right, we're going to say top, it's also going to be half, z same 10, padding of 2. Now let's go back to our hero icons and recopy this thing, paste it inside here. Let's change here width to 4, 4, 4. Let's add 2.8. Alright, if there's no error, if we go back, we should see something uniform. Awesome. Yes, now we have these small cute looking buttons which are actually clickable. Yay, we finally achieved our objective for this video. So I think that's it. You can go ahead and add more images to this swiper, like in here. You can add more images. Like for example, you just copy this. Let's remove this. You see, and then if I go back in here, you see that we have different. You can swipe. You actually swipe by touching this thing, and we finally successfully added this in our using Alpine JavaScript. Alright, so I think that's it for this video. Let me not make it long. And like I said, you can still just copy this code. You don't have to type it. I think for this video, if you don't want to type, the only thing you have to do is just install the swiper JavaScript and then just copy the rest of the code. I'm just doing this so that we can have some fun typing and coding together. So I'll see you in the next video.